shoot, roll the cage. Here he comes out. Skip up. Watching it inside.
And the other one?
Goes in. What's up?
Konnichiwa. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Shadow Warriors Forum. I'm your host, Master Yusef Ali Abdullah, and today we have the distinct pleasure of having a gentleman who I've known for a while. He happens to be a pioneer in the martial arts here in New York, world champion, 8 times world champ, the founder of the Atemi Aiki Jiu-Jitsu system. He's been around for a long time, and we happen to have him here on our show today. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Grand Master Soke Irving Soto.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here today at the Shadows Forum. It's my honor, and thank you again.
No problem. Thank you for coming down, and I know it took a lot of sacrifice. I want you to just relax. It's like me and you shooting the breeze in the living room. Don't let the cameras get to you and stuff like that. You basically just get used to it. What I'm gonna ask you are questions pertaining to your life, to your system, and basically we're just trying to document your existence on this planet Earth for us and for your students and for the seeds that come after us when we pass away, or the case may be. But where were you born? When? Tell me a little bit about yourself. When were you born? Where? Who's your mother? Who's your father? Tell me your brothers and sisters. All that. Anywhere you want to start.
Absolutely.
Who's your mother? Who's your father? Tell me your brothers and sisters. All that. Anywhere you want to start.
Absolutely. Best of recollection in my birth certificate from my mother's say I was born in the Bronx, New York, Fort Apache.
Lincoln Hospital?
I believe so.
More than likely, because we're the same age, just about.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's from Fort Apache in the 50s. My mother moved here from Puerto Rico.
Is she still around?
No, she's dead. She passed away.
Okay. Where are you in the...
I come into the third.
How many of the people in your family, such as your brothers and sisters, are into the martial arts?
My brother John Goju, he got his black belt in Okinawa. You know, he had an 8th-degree black belt in Goju-Ryu. My brother Dave, under me, he has an 8th-degree black belt now. He's been with me for a
He trained under you on the ladder. You're on the highest level? Yeah. Because 10th degree is, not everybody can get to 10th degree. No. So, I mean, you're on the top spectrum. You're on the top of the ladder.
Yes, sir.
Right, so you pretty much have taught. Okay.
That's correct. That's David.
That was David. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. We got to get him on the show.
Yes.
He's not with us today here in the show, but God willing, we will try to get him on the show on a later date. When did you start martial arts, and where? Like, I mean, was it in the Bronx? But let's start from the very beginning. Like, where did you start, and why did you get into it?
Well, it's a long story, but I'll try to make it as brief. So
we have a lot of time.
The audience, when they see this,
we have a lot of time.
Wonderful program, they understand who I am and where I come from and how long I've been in martial arts. Like I said, I was born in the Bronx, and my mother later on moved because my father was at Mega Evans, playing baseball. So he moved us to Brooklyn and Brownsville, East New York. And in 1956 is where I really started martial arts. 1956 in Brownsville, and it was Italians, and they had Jewish, they had some Muslims, they had it was not too much Tashioshi, and he had a laundromat. He really didn't have a dojo. He had this laundromat in the corner. Today I don't know if it's still the building. I think the building, some of the stuff is torn down, but. He had a laundromat where he ironed shirts like the old style. I don't know if they do that today.
Right.
And put them in a paper bag, not plastic bag, paper bags. Right. And that's what he did. And I saw him teaching some little kids there, and I told him, I want to do that, And my mom says, I can't afford it. And he taught me for free. One day she brought me in, And the next thing you know, I was training with this man. I'm grateful to him. I get emotional because this guy was the first instructor.
Um, so at 2 years old, what could you learn at 2 years old? Boxing? Was it kickboxing?
No.
Did you learn
No.
katas? Did you learn exercise? Was it calisthenics? What
Excuse
did you
me.
learn? Yes.
It was basically a form of jujitsu, which was jujitsu. That's what he was teaching. He
What
taught
type
us-
of jujitsu was he teaching?
It's basically Japanese jujitsu, traditional jujitsu, which he.
What's the name of it?
It's Okinawan jujitsu. You know, that's what he called it. You know, at the time, which he mixed the brand of box, kicks, takedowns to do command. You know, stuff like that. You know, which at the time, you're right. I was too small to love it, but I still
to actually acknowledge what it was, right? Because
Exactly.
2 years old.
Exactly, but then I still went for almost by the time I was 11 years old. You know, what I mean, and he was the first man to take me to Japan. You know, he treated me because I was poor. You know, it was
So,
very
you, so
poor.
you've been in.
That's correct. That's correct. Shortly after that, you know, as the life went by, and you know, it's a long history, of course. I decided I seen these guys, this group of African Americans, training in a community center in Brownsville, East New York. You know, and they were Muslims, and that America didn't have no problems with that.
Right,
you know,
right,
of
right.
course, you know. And
But they shouldn't have a problem with it today either.
Absolutely,
so.
absolutely,
So-
absolutely. And they were training and I remember, I'm trying to recollect, this is in Blake Avenue, and there was community center right there in Brownsville, and they were training there, and I was so fascinated with these guys, you know. Behold to me that later on, I went inside, I kind of got the courage, and there was a guy named Charlie Sparrow. Charlie Sparrow, Sensei Charlie Sparrow, at the time. Later on,
Sounds familiar. I don't
late-
know. Sounds
Later on,
familiar.
he became, you know, of course, as part of his death, they granted him the Grand Mastery, you know what I mean, from his death. And Elmore, Master Elmore, Grand Master Elmore, known today, you know, it was Sensei Saigon and Rudy Jones, Little John Davis. Most of those guys at the time were practicing, and more that I can't recollect all their names. Smiley was a tall African American, and they were actually doing this at mattresses, man, and they were calling it Mawashi-Ru Jiu-Jitsu. You know, not Sanukas-Ru. They were Mawashi-Ru Jiu-Jitsu, and that's where I liked it, those guys. They were fascinated. But I also was fascinated in learning all aspects of martial arts. So I was kind of like, maybe today you call it kind of like, maybe not, wasn't being disrespectful to those guys because they were fantastic. And I started training with those
I
individuals.
wouldn't be surprised if among them was Professor Moses Powell because
Yes, and
he was
Professor-
around at the time.
absolutely. And
Yes.
forgive me, but Professor Moses Powell,
Because we're the same age. I mean,
Yes.
I saw Professor Powell when he was younger, and we're the same age. And I was from Brownsville also, so you know we crossed paths there. So,
and I tell you, I jujitsu
did,
was-
did you ever study with Professor Powell
Yes,
directly?
yes, he was with the crowd, and he would take classes for him. He'll put me down. Later on, he'll walk, as I explain more, he started calling me the little Dr. Powers. Of course, in fact, he talked to me to his last dying days, you know. And I so miss, because he was like a mentor to me, too. And actually, I became a mentor towards him, and a lot of people didn't know that. I was talking to him, his wife, Jenny, knows.
So how long did you study under Professor
A
Powell?
lot of years. In fact, I
I mean,
continue.
an idea.
Give me anything from, say, close to all my life, 16 years or something like that. We were back and forth, you know, with him.
And did you rank with him?
I ranked with him. I ranked with Rudy Jones and.
No, I'm talking about Professor Powell.
Well, he's part of the organization.
okay.
He was part of that
That was
organization.
one-
My actual teacher was, you know, Master Saigon and Professor, you know, Rudy Jones and most and all those guys at the time. Okay, I wanted to venture my experience in martial arts, and there was not a lot of jiu-jitsu tournaments in those
Right.
days.
Right, exactly.
Jiu-jitsu was
It was-
unheard of, and to
Yeah, you're
no
right.
disrespect to
Yes.
to the Horace Gracie family today, you know, and there was not a lot of tournaments that we could fight because remember we do joint locks, wrist takedowns, and stuff like that. I wanted to further my career. At the age of 17, 15, I believe that time and era, I decided that, you know, I was competing in tournaments. Remember, this is the same time and era.
Right, right.
Competing in tournaments, taking my classes, my lesson, went to Japan, fought there, you know what I mean? At the time, I also remember there was Kyokushinkai tournaments, and most, not only Kyokushinkai
Kyokushinkai,
tournament,
yes.
There was other tournaments of organization, international, because karate was really big in those days.
Right.
Masotaso Yama,
Right.
Tio Yama.
Well, I saw you in
Funakoshi.
many other different tournaments
Right.
and stuff. So.
Yeah, and in those days I was winning a lot of tournaments, of course, and Peter Irving actually, and Aaron Banks,
Yes.
uh, and I continued to train back and forth. Then I was asked by Kukiyoshi Yamamoto, of Japan to come down and train because this is one of those tournaments that I fought, to come out and train. I continued further. He was doing a mixture of Vaki Jiu-Jitsu, and some ninjutsu, because in Japan they don't just train one element, they train chambers of elements,
Let me ask you a question. How many different arts did you practice, or did you just stick with the
I'm
jujitsu?
glad you asked me that question.
Did you go like Goju, Kyokushinkai, and
Yes,
ninjutsu?
I did Shotokan. In fact, me, and if I can mention names without not hurting anybody, Robert Crossman was one of my good friends. He would come and eat rice and beans, and that's a Puerto Rican soul food, actually, guys. And he eat rice and beans, chuleta, pork chop, and he would come up and I play percussion.
Right.
And we trained with Mr. Green, which a student of Cofield and La Puppet. La Puppet was George Cofield. La Puppet was George Cofield later on breaking away and creating his own style of karate. And we was training with Mr. Green, Shotokan Karate. And we both got our black belts actually from that. And also training Jiu-Jitsu because he was there also with Powers at the time.
Let me ask you, when did you start getting into the Atemi Jiu-Jitsu?
That's
That
a
in
good
particular.
question. Yeah.
That in particular, because we need to cover a certain amount of
Absolutely,
things.
absolutely. And my Atemi has been around all arts. Okay.
Let me ask you first, what is Atemi
Yeah.
Jiu-Jitsu? What is that first, and then tell me where you learned.
Atemi is the art of striking 365 tack point central nervous system. These tacks, which is you hear ninjutsu also uses it. It's the central nervous pulsation. If I hit somebody,
Is Atemi, is it a pressure point?
it's also pressure points. Remember, pressure points. Pressure points. Yes, it's pressure points because you have meridians in your body. You have 360 points in your body, 279 in your chest, and in your wrist, 226 bones or 206 bones in your body, which you deal with every day. So when you joint manipulate, you deal with the tweeter hand, and the tweeter hand combines the pressure points and the Atemi. Okay, ninjutsu used to use that very much, and jujitsu, but they took it out. Shikoro Kano, for example, in Japan, many centuries ago, of course, he created judo and created jujitsu, but he left it because it was too violent. Okay, and then later on, that's where this history evolves from. Okay, and then I said to myself, the Temi was dying. I said to myself, I promised my teacher I'm going to revive it, and I'm going to bring it to a different level today, and I have. And that's what
definitely I bear witness to that. Yes.
And let me answer your second question, just to keep it on attack. Jiu-jitsu, as you know, jiu-jitsu is gentle, hard and soft.
Yes.
Hard and soft. Yang and yin. You balance the two circles. It's a 300 circumference pi of 360. So when we talk about these things, jiu-jitsu to me means the expression of the soul, the gentle. When I lock, the same thing as jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is the mother art. Ninjutsu and Aikido-jujitsu, all is mother art of everything. You know what I'm saying? So, to me, I decided to not found it because I can't say I did found the art because I could continue with it. When everybody used to say, "What is this guy doing? What does he think he's doing?" Guess what? Hello, folks. This has been around for centuries. And when I talk about it, and it's the same thing as Denmark in Chinese Dong Fu. When you look at it, people say, "What is that guy doing?" That's why when I do it Iron Palm, I get scared of my students, and I know people say this is phony, this is not real, this is like, this guy is full of beans, these guys are jumping up in the air like jelly beans. Well, I suggest one day I would appreciate it if somebody could come up and take a sign of waiver, and you can understand that it's serious business.
Well, I happen to know for a fact that it is real. I've seen you perform different feats numerous times, more than I can even remember. I've seen you, knock people totally out. So I bear witness to this, and definitely, ladies and gentlemen, if any of you have any doubt, definitely come down and see this man. The stuff is for real. It's no joke. Pretty much everything that he does is no joke. And I've been witness that. I've been following his career, his life, for some time now, and we're just getting to the point of getting to document a lot of his stuff. So there will be more on the life of Grandmaster Irving Soto. I wanted to ask you also on where is Atemi Aiki Jiu-Jitsu today as opposed to, say, 20 years ago? About 20 years
That's
ago.
a great question.
Where is it today?
That's a great question, Master Yusef. Thank you for asking these things. A great question, Master Yusef. Thank you for asking these things. I mean, I got so much to say to the
His life in an hour together, it's not happening. He's done so much. So we're trying to capture as much